Welcome to the channel, guys. So what we've got for you today is the Abarth 600E Scorpionissima. I probably completely ruined the pronunciation of that, but this is basically the hottest, latest Abarth 600E. So yes, this is an electric car, fully electric. It produces 280 horsepower to the front wheels. And as you can clearly see from all of the stickering on the car, it's a big thank you to BS Marson for the try me for 48 hours. So we're taking them up on that. We're going to do about 170-mile round trip in it tomorrow as well. So we'll see actually how good the range is. But on a short drive earlier, which was more of an enthusiastic drive, I averaged 2.3 kilowatts. So yeah, when you drive it enthusiastically, it sucks the power. But you will join both myself and Briony driving the Abarth 600E later in this video. So you'll be able to get our impressions of what it's like to drive on the road. What I'm going to do in this first part of the video is walk you around the car, show you the storage of the car and some of the features of the car, including the daft external speaker, though they have improved it from how it used to sound on the 500E, which is just, to be honest, embarrassing. It does sound a little bit better on this car. But let's just show you the boot space, which is quite impressive actually. We've got an automatic opening boot. It's got quite a large boot there. You've got your typical 3-pin adapter, so you can plug it into the wall. And there's also a space underneath there to get that in. So plenty of boot space. And again, it's just one touch operation to shut it. There we go. And I will show you the rear seats. It is a bit tight in the rear. You have got like knee cutouts in those seats, but they're pretty harsh. So yeah, either be a bit more uncomfortable in the front and move your seat forward, or it's a little tight, but you can carry 4 adults, I would say, in a relative form of comfort. And we go around. The colour of this car is hypnotic purple. It's actually quite a cool colour. It's more of a purple with a pink metallic flake. So obviously the Audi back there is velvet purple, which is a much darker purple with a blue metallic flake. This is a lighter purple with more of a pink metallic flake. Let me know what you think of the looks of the car in the video, guys. I think it's quite a good looking car. Obviously it's got pretty damn big wheels on it. I think they're going to be like 19s or 20s. Yet they are 20-inch wheels on the car. As I say, it's 280 horsepower. It will do 0 to 60 in about 5.8 seconds. So it's pretty prompt. And not driving it like you stole it. If you drive it, obviously more in its more eco mode, you should get roughly 200 miles from a full charge. So obviously it's not an amazingly long distance car, this, but it's more about a sporty, fun hot hatch style driving experience. I mean, the other cars that I've driven, EVs, we own a Honda E. I've driven the latest electric Mini with the 218 horsepower version. I've driven the new Renault 5. I've driven the Abarth 500E. Something of key interest, the actual front seats, the bucket seats, are really, they look really good. And they're actually also really comfy, and they are extremely supportive. These are Sebelt bucket seats that you used to find in the Abarth 500s and that, which we did have a 595, but I'll just jump in and we'll get this to power up. So I'll show you what you're met with when you get in. These screens, the infotainment is okay. The screens are clear, which is the main thing. And you still do have plenty of buttons here to do your climate control, your volume. So it's good that there's physical buttons in the car as well. Makes things easy to use. Do something that's kind of funky and cool. I mentioned the external speaker. So let's go into sound generator and we turn this on here. And you have that fake noise. Then you've got like some gauges where some dials. Obviously nothing's happening. And you've got your your G's, because Abarth have actually designed this as some potential track use. There's a lot of storage in the car, which I think is pretty cool. You've got this, I don't know what this is all about really. It seems a bit, I don't know. But you've got a massive cubby there with wireless charging, so you can stick your phone in there. You've got another space here for lots of cups. You can slide, this also opens up, so you've got more there, and you can also slide this to adjust it. You've got door pockets in the front, but there's no door pockets actually in the rear, which is a bit of a miss. And then you've also got quite a large glove box as well. The car has ample storage. Your gears here, so you've got park, you've got reverse. In fact, I'll just show you the cameras on the car. Right, it's gone back to typical sensors. Oh, there you go. So you've got a really good resolution reverse camera. You've got the 3D camera as well. And if I was to back the car up and get even closer, then it changes mode when it thinks you're about to hit something to show you just truly how close you are. So we'll put that back in park. And then you've got your drive, and then if you press it again, you'll get your B, which is a higher rate of regeneration on the brakes. But let's put that in park stock because I've got my door open. I think the car is a reasonably good looking car. There's a lot of like nice little features. I do like this rear spoiler with, it's quite cool. I think it arcs back to a classic Fiat, a real old classic car that went racing. The name, maybe, is it 850, T850? I'm not sure. But I think that's the reason that's there. But yeah, it's a good looking car. It certainly gets attention out on the road. People look and they point at it. I don't know if they're pointing for good reasons or bad reasons, but it definitely draws people's attention. So I would say it's quite a good looking car, and you'll next join us on the road driving this. So as promised, you now find us in the Abarth 600E Scorpionissima, however you say it, for our driving part of the review. Briony's going to do this first part of the driving, so I'm going to hand it over to her.
Hello everyone, we are just cruising on the motorway. I think we're going to be doing about 50 miles there. We've done about 20 so far, and I'm just going to talk about what I think of the kind of driving dynamics and things I like and don't like about the car that we've had or like noticed so far, essentially. So first impression, I loved the look of it. We walked up to it and I was like, wow, that looks awesome in purple. I think the rear end looks really great because it's very aggressive. You've got the spoiler, you've got a lot of changes over the original 600E. The front kind of, it's like okay, but I think from behind is where it looks really, really good. The purple, I really like it. It's quite feminine though, because it's a purple with a pink fleck to it. I think, Andrew, what's your thoughts on the colour?
Yeah, it's a bit of a girly purple.
Yeah. We did say it looks a bit like the Lamborghini colour, like Pacify.
Viola Pacify.
Yeah, it's that pinky purple colour. So, might not be for everyone. I would be tempted, if I was going to order one, to go for the green, because I do really like the Peridot Metallic on my Cayman, and I think the like acid green colour is actually quite similar to that, has a lot of fleck in it again as well. And you do have the green highlights on the interior, which I think would match very nice with like the green paintwork.
Yeah, the problem with the interior though, we've noticed, bear in mind this car is 36 to 39,000 pounds, depending on how you spec it. And there's a lot of these touch surfaces. It'd have been nice if they like had a suede package where you could have more of this material, maybe on the dash and the upper bits here. But let's get back to Briony and her thoughts on how it is to drive the Abarth 600E Scorpionissima.
I think I would say it's a Scorpionissima, but I don't know if that's right either. It's kind of one of those like funky Italian names. But my first impression of like when I got in the car was the bucket seats really nice. They're Sabalt bucket seats. They really hold you into place. You can actually make them really low down as well. The driver's one is electric. Disappointed that the passenger's is manual. For the price of this car, you would think maybe you should have electric on both sides. I think they do have heating as well, which is a really nice option to have on a bucket seat. So I like that. That's the speed limit warning, by the way, which I thought that we'd turned off.
I've turned everything back on.
Oh, you've turned everything back on. Okay, for the motorway, that makes sense. So yeah, you can turn that noise off. Yeah, first impressions, love the seats. As Andrew mentioned, the interior, very plastic. I'm disappointed because in the photos it looked like it was going to be quite nice, but it has a lot of like Abarth plastic, which is a reminder for when we had our 595. The back seats, the space was quite good. I tried that out. That's nice. Driving position, really good. Very adjustable. You can get it nice and low. You've got loads of adjustability in recline and everything on the seats, so you can make it feel quite sporty. I'm sat up quite high because I'm not that used to the size of the car, so I can see the bonnet, so I can kind of judge it a bit easier, because it's a little bit bigger than the Honda E, but it does shrink around you, which I really like. And I must say I feel quite safe in it because I'm sitting a lot higher than I'd be used to sitting in like the Cayman or even the Honda. It feels like it's not as high up as this car, so you do get that like as an SUV kind of crossover feeling, but it does feel sporty, like really sporty, and it feels a lot sportier than the Renault 5. It feels a lot sportier than the Honda E. The Mini that we tried was very sporty, but it wasn't quite as firm as this. It has a very, I guess because it's quite tall and quite heavy, they've really firmed up the suspension, which actually works really well in the handling. Like in the corners, it's super flat. Like the Honda E is quite wallowy. This, you can send it in, it's super flat. But the downside of that is it's not that comfortable. And we've noticed on like some of the bumpier roads that it's a bit jiggly. As a passenger, Andrew really hates it.
At lower speeds, the suspension, it is typical Abarth style, to be honest. It's quite fidgety. It's not like a deal breaker. It's not like so harsh that it's upsetting, but you do notice it is a bit fidgety. But once you get the speed up, say like 40 mile an hour plus, the suspension really does become quite compliant. And like Briony says, the handling is really impressive. The car stays really flat in the corners, parked to the suspension. And the car's running 20-inch wheels with quite low profile tyres. I do feel that there was a 19-inch wheel option with a slightly taller tyre would iron out the fidgety ride at lower speeds, with maybe no sacrifice to the actual handling. And one of the really cool things about the car actually has a proper mechanical Torsen differential. So when you turn the traction control off and you load it up in a corner and boot it, you can really feel the diff working. I like that. That's like proper original hot hatch style driving with a mechanical diff. Anyone who's had like Honda Civic Type R's, like the newer ones, or a DC5 Integra, or like a Focus RS where they had mechanical diffs in the front, they were really cool, and that they were definitely there's the fidgetiness on some bumpy stuff, an improvement to the way the car handled. But let's hand it back to Briony because her thoughts.
Yeah, handling, everything's great. The downside is the steering feel and the weird whatever electronic stuff they have going on. So
it's variable rate on the steering, so it's quite annoying because even if you put it in track mode, the steering stays on a variable rate, so it's always adjusting the weight of the steering, which my view is if you have a track mode in the car, that should fix the steering to one rate. It shouldn't be variable once you're in track mode, so bit of a miss there by Abarth.
Yeah, I think what I would have done is that I would have had more, rather than having like different modes. I know a lot of people like that because it's more simple, you don't have to think that much, it's like one press of a button. I would prefer it more like maybe like the McLaren or like how supercars do it, so they have the pedal mapping and like the sportiness of the car separate to the like the handling or like the ride of the car. So it'd be nice to say, oh okay, I want like the sporty throttle response, but I want maybe the lighter steering, or I want the like really lazy throttle response, but I actually prefer the heavier steering. The fact that it kind of change, like when you go slow, the steering's light, which is nice because you can obviously turn around corners, you can get into junctions easier. But it means at speed that as you're like accelerating,
it's adjusting.
You can feel the steering weight changing, which is, you almost don't know what you're going to expect.
Yeah, which is fine in regular modes and city mode, but if you put a car in track mode, it should be fixed. And just to correct Briony on one thing there, she mentioned McLaren. McLaren don't have steering modes because McLaren have hydraulic steering, and hydraulic doesn't have, you can't adjust it. The whole advantage of E-Pass modern racks was that they could change the rates, change the steering weights, have variable rates, etc., and pure fuel economy. And yeah, hydraulic steering's the best, but we're in the modern world now, we've got these racks. But talk about the performance, Briony, because I think that's something that's quite rather impressive on this.
Yeah, so performance, amazing. It's very, very fast. I think, is it 250 horsepower?
280.
Oh, it's 280 horsepower. It certainly feels like it's got a lot more horsepower than the Honda E. So every red light is a laugh. You boot it and you feel it scrabble, like the front wheels like is kind of pulling on you as it's trying to find grip and shoot off, which is great fun. The downside that we found is that the traction control, which you'd obviously turn off so you can get like a much better start, and then you want to like feel the diff working and things as well, it turns itself back on again. So it at certain speeds, I think we've gone down to 30 miles an hour and it still turns itself back on. So it must be at like 10 or 20 mile an hour for like that racing start. You can turn the traction off, but it's a bit annoying that you can't keep it off. Yeah,
well, another thing, like, you know, it's an Abarth. They've clearly aimed it for track driving because it's got a track mode. So people are going to take it on track and you can't turn the traction control fully off. So yeah, it's kind of maybe there's like a secret button press, but as it is, yeah, I'm getting a bit fed up of modern cars with all this nanny state. You should still have the option to turn everything off and that. If I want to turn a car everything off, it's my responsibility, it's my choice. And if I'm on a track, of course you want to turn everything off. One thing I will say, even though the performance off the line is good, I say it does 0 to 60 in 5.8 seconds. The 0 to 20 isn't really any quicker than the Honda E, because the car, again, even with traction off and in track mode, it's definitely limiting the power it's putting to those front wheels on the initial hit. The most impressive performance stat of this car is 20 to 60. It really nails your head back in the seat and just goes. I just wish if you turn the traction off again, you should be able to blow the tyres off, but I guess maybe Abarth are a little bit scared of that. People will be destroying the suspension and the diff by wheel spinning or the tyres, so...
It seems to have plenty of grip, though. The Michelin EV tyres, which
Pilot Sport EVs, yeah.
Not seen those before. They are very good. It is warm now because it's summer. Not sure what they'll be like in winter, but they definitely suit the car. And they're quite skinny as well, like weirdly skinny for the type of car that it is. Maybe, I guess, for range, it gets you better range. Speaking of range, it's worse than we expected it to be, but we have been ragging it, I guess, which is kind of the worst case scenario. But Andrew pulled it up yesterday and turned it off, and it did 2.2 kilowatt hours per mile. Which
I was ragging it though.
Yeah, it was terrible. That's terrible though. Like the Honda E, you can drive it as fast as you want, and the worst I've ever seen it go is like 2.8, 2.6. So 2.2 was pretty bad.
There's a lot more power in this though, and we're doing a bit of a challenge today, because I think Fiat Abarth claim around 200 to 250 mile range.
Yeah, I think it's 240 something, which is it's I can't see it ever getting that, I'll be honest.
Well, we're doing 100. We basically set off this morning with the battery at 98% charge. We are now going to be doing 150 mile round trip. We should probably put it in...
No, I think we should keep it in Scorpion track.
Okay, we're going to leave it in track mode then. So that's going to obviously like impact its rangeability a little bit. And we are running with AC on. So we've got the air conditioning on. We've got it in track mode. We're doing 150 mile round trip. So we hope it will get us home. But it'll be I suspect it will get us home. I'll be driving the leg home, so you'll join me for my driving part of the video. So yeah, hopefully it'll do that, and it'll be interesting to see how much charge is left in the battery upon us getting home and what it reckons it could still achieve. Any more thoughts on the car, Briony?
The brakes, yeah, that's a good shout actually. I always forget about the brakes. I'm a bit disappointed. They are really good, like really, really good. When you mean it, it brakes fast, and it's a heavy car as well. So very good brakes. As with all modern cars, I wish there was way more feedback. It just feels like the pedal has the same pressure the whole way down, and I like to feel the brake pedal firm up. And the Honda E, somehow they've kind of managed to do that. Like it does have a bit more feel. Obviously the Cayman was like, yeah, the best of all of them, or you know, any sports car, supercar, they really get that brake pedal feel right. But this, it's just kind of it's mushy, which is a bit disappointing. The infotainment system, I like it. It's not that intuitive, but once you get used to it, everything's quite easy to find.
And you've got buttons.
And I like the buttons, and Android Auto connected in like 10 seconds. I don't think it's ever been that easy to connect ever. It took 10 seconds, like Bluetooth connect, yep, done, it's on the screen. And it's very fast and responsive, which I like. Would I buy one? I think Abarth are asking 39 grand. Seems like a lot compared to something like the Renault 5, which I think is probably like its competitor. It's reasonably similar, I think, to the Mini, like price-wise, but I think I would go for the Mini at the same price. I wouldn't say in like 3 years though, when it's probably lost most of its money, if it gets down to like 15, 18 grand like the Honda E, I don't think I would mind owning one. I do actually quite like it. The steering is the main thing that annoys me, and I don't think there's anything you can do about that unless they do some sort of software update, which would be nice. Oh, there is a very beautiful Porsche just flying past right now. Let's just all take a moment to appreciate that.
Yeah.
Woo! I wish I was driving that instead. Yeah, and I think I'd probably get it in the acid green. But yeah, main things that I don't like, the interior still feels quite cheap and the steering is annoying. Everything else I really like. I actually prefer it to the Renault 5, but it does cost like 10 grand more. So.
But it has got another 100 plus horsepower more. And
Yeah.
it's definitely a lot quicker than the Renault 5.
Yeah,
and it handles better than Renault 5 as well.
Yeah, it feels like sporty and it feels like an Abarth, which I think is really important. We drove the Abarth 500. I was really disappointed in that. I think this is a much better car than the Abarth 500, and I'm not sure there's that much difference in price either. So if you wanted an electric Abarth, I'd go for this one.
Yeah.
Oh, we forgot to talk about the weird sound it makes.
Yeah, I showed that in the intro video anyway, so that's okay.
I like it from inside the car. On the outside, it sounds awful. It's like a really fake V8 noise that sounds terrible for anyone that's on the street. But from inside the car, I've actually been turning it on because you get quite a lot of road noise, and that kind of hides that road noise with like a really nice kind of humming sound. And then when you boot it, it gets really loud and is actually quite exciting.
I just say we're going to conclude my thoughts on the Abarth 600E Scorpionissima. Just before I do the conclusion, I'll just show you the traction system here. So you've got all of your options here where you can turn off lane keeping assist, automatic braking, but it doesn't seem to adhere, and it's probably quite a good thing to have. Traction control, the car's not running, so it'll flick it straight back on, but it does also go back on once you're at speed. But at low speeds, I guess it means you can use the torsion differential a bit, and there's all your other things like your beepings for speeding. But anyway, just to really sum up my thoughts on how it drives, I'm going to do the likes first. What I really like about it is the handling. The car stays very flat. The torsion differential works really well. If you get it on the power around a corner, you can feel the diff sending power to the outside wheel to help get the car around the corner. That feels really great. Another real big like on the car is the power. 20 to 60 mile an hour is incredible. And also the car will definitely get to 100 mile an hour, no problem at all. Of course, we've not done that, but you can just tell from the way it goes from like 60 to 75. It doesn't run out of power as the speed powers on, which is really impressive for an EV, but it does have 280 horsepower, so you'd kind of hope it was pretty good. Another like is that some of the touch points are quite nice. Also, you've got Alcantara here on the wheel. The wheel itself is nice to hold. The infotainment system is a bit quirky to use, but once you kind of get used to it, it's okay. I like the fact that you've got buttons and knobs for everything. It's a very easy car. And also the car, there was like an SUV style crossover. It's quite a small car. It's easy to judge. It's easy to park in a multi-story car park. And I actually do not I would say I'm 50-50. I don't dislike the fake sound. I've been driving with it on, so that's okay. I'm going to get some of the dislikes. I touched on it earlier. When you're in track mode, it's still variable ratio on the steering, which is annoying. And the steering really has little to no feedback at all. It's quite numb, and the fact it's always kind of adjusting. There is torque steer, and normally I like torque steer, but because there's real no feedback, it's kind of like it's just trying to pull the steering out your hands without any like kind of scrabble or feel. So that's a dislike. The brake pedal, as Briony got on this, the brakes are effective and they're strong, but there is zero feedback in the pedal, and they're not very confident inspiring. There's not much at the top of the pedal, and really as you're applying the pressure on the brakes, the feedback isn't really changing as you're braking more, which is not great. If I was to say, and another dislike is scratchy plastics and basically what's nearly
I wish it had a glass roof as well.
Yeah, glass roof would be nice. It would be nice if you could option more of the suede, like maybe on the dash here and on the door tops, like you could in the Alpine A110s. It really transformed the interior, and they could probably put that option as like £500 and it'd still be under the 40 grand threshold. Another dislike, I think this car's quoted as 240-mile range. We charged it at 98% before we set off. We've done a 150-mile round trip today. Mix of motorways, and yes, we were at 70 mile an hour because why shouldn't we be? And a lot of like A and B roads where we were sticking to the speed limits and having fun because again, it's in Abarth, so you're going to have fun in it. And we've got home after doing a 150-mile round trip, and guess what battery life we had left? 4%, guys. And it went into like a reduced power mode, but not showing me at about 15%, and at 12% it did reduce power. Felt like it had dropped the power to probably about 100 horsepower. It really was like more than half the power had gone. So yeah, the range is nowhere near advertised, and we're in summer. It's been lowest temperature today has been 22 degrees, and it's been as warm as 25. So in winter, that range is going to be about 120-ish. So yeah, this drive back, just 68 miles that I've just done, and I averaged 3.1 kilowatts. And I was also driving it in a mixture of like with the B and in the basic Turismo, 2 passengers. We have just collected some very nice BBS style wheels for one of our older classics back there. You can get 4 wheels and tyres. You could actually get more because there's quite a lot of height left there. So you could definitely get 6 in there. Just for measurement purposes, they are 16-inch wheels with, I think, 45 height profile tyres. So, yeah, the Abarth will carry plenty of storage with those seats folded down.
But do you prefer it to the Renault 5?
Yes, I do prefer it to the Renault 5 massively because the handling is so much better in this car. And I don't think the Renault 5 has a mechanical diff. And the mechanical diff in this is really good. The handling is good. The car stays flat. The Renault 5 is a bit like the Honda E, actually. It was a little bit like, whee! I mean, it would turn in and you could turn it in quick because it was a light car, but this handles better than this, obviously. This is like way, way quicker than the Renault 5. What I'll be interested in is how an Alpine A290 compares to this, because obviously it's a similar price. So if I'm to take a guess based on what I know of cars and how they are, I think this will still win. But obviously it is about 5 grand more. Maybe about 3 grand actually. So yeah, I think they're definitely better than the Renault 5 and probably better than the A290. The GTS as well, the 4.1. So yeah, obviously give me a fixed rate update on the software Abarth for the steering and track mode. So it's not variable, it's fixed. Let's get an Alcantara option here and maybe a software update on the brake pedal, and you'll have a Italian style kiss. Amazing car. But yeah, that's going to wrap my review up there of this nice hot hatch SUV style car. It's for an electric car. I'd say it's pretty good fun. Made us smell quite a lot. I would say, should you go and buy it right now, or should you think about it, or should you completely not consider it? I would say it's a definite think about it.
Drive one.
Yes, definitely go drive one. Go if you're local, if you're in Stoke-on-Trent area, I think it's within 20 miles of Newcastle under Lyme. You can borrow this car from, is it Barson's?
BS Marston's.
BS Marston's. You can borrow it for 48 hours and do it to 200 miles, which is exactly what we've done. So big thanks to those guys. It's a good car, and it's definitely a think about it one. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Give us a smile, Briony. Give us a wave. Whee!